Welcome to the video on ICH Q3C guideline for residual solvents and the volatile impurities. There are various type of impurities you can say, like organic impurities or related substances, inorganic impurities which involve the elemental impurities, then another is the nitrosamine impurities, and residual solvents as the impurities. Residual solvents impurities mainly come from the solvents which are used in the manufacturing stage or manufacturing process stages for the drug substance, excipients, raw materials, and the finished formulations. You might be knowing, like whenever you are working onto the formulation like tablet capsules or granulation stages or granulation process, uh, solvents are used. These solvents are mainly like isopropyl alcohol, ethanol, acetone, then MDC. So these are generally used as the solvents. And if these solvents remain in the drug product, these are required to be tested. These are considered as impurities. If you are not using the solvents in the manufacturing of drug product, then generally it is not needed to test in the finished formulation. But if residual solvents are used in the manufacturing of finished formulation. That time residual solvent testing is must. ICH Q3C guideline provides you clear understanding about the residual solvent impurities. Let's start with the introduction for residual solvents. These are the organic volatile chemicals used in the manufacturing of drug substances, excipients, or drug product. And if these are not removed from the formulation or drug substance during drying or processing, they may remain in the final formulation. And if these are remaining, these are required to be tested. And if these are remaining in the formulation, these are considered as impurities. So as per the ICH Q3C guideline, three classes are there for the residual solvents. Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. Class 1 are the high risk solvents, Class 2 are the moderate risk solvents, and Class 3 are the low risk solvents. So whenever you are using the solvents, you can use these ICH Q3C principles for residual solvents. Class 1 high risk solvent are to be avoided due to toxicity like benzene, carbon tetrachloride. Class 2 solvents have the moderate risk. These are limited due to potential toxicity like methanol, toluene. Class 3, these are having the low risk, low toxicity, and permissible at higher concentrations compared to the class 1 and class 2 solvents. The class 3 solvents example is ethanol, acetone, isopropyl alcohol. Generally, the solvent should be avoided because the solvents increase the cost of a product. Also, these increase the risk to the health of the professionals working with these solvents. That means the in the manufacturing, the operators and the chemist can get exposure of these solvents. And another is these are required to be tested in the formulation if these are used. So always try to go for the aqueous system, water based system. But if at all it is not possible, then we need to use. So generally we can use the class 3 solvents, and if the class 3 solvents are not proper for the formulation, then you can go to class 2 and class 1 solvents. But always understand the class 1 and class 2 solvents have very stringent limit. Sources of residual solvents. So solvents may come from the API solvents used in the synthesis may remain in the API, may come from the excipients, and if you are using the solvents in the drug product manufacturing, that time these are coming from the manufacturing process. If you consider the processes like granulation, film coating, enteric coating, these solvents are used. Challenges in the formulation development. So if the solvents are used or required to be used, then there are challenges of toxicity, regulatory compliance, interaction with the formulation, and analytical detection. Toxicity concerns because some solvents are carcinogenic, teratogenic, and require the strict limits. Regulatory compliance is the challenge because adherence to ICH Q3C guideline is required, and also regional guidelines are required to be followed. Interaction with the formulation. Some solvent may interact with the excipients and APIs, and because of that, the potential stability and efficacy issues may arise. Analytical detection. It requires robust methods like gas chromatography. Control strategies for the residual solvents. So solvent selection, as I have mentioned, prefer lower toxicity solvents like class 3. Control in the API, process optimization, monitoring, vendor qualifications can be done to control the solvents in the API. But generally the suppliers control the residual solvents in the API. But as an example, I will give you, if API contains class 3 solvent, and if that class 3 solvent is present up to some extent, and in the manufacturing of product you are also using the same solvent, then your risk will increase in the testing. Process optimization, minimize the solvent use and enhance removal. Generally in granulation you can have strict limit on the loss on drying, and you can have the in-process control over solvent limit, so that you will not surprise with higher limits at the finished formulation testing. Drying can be optimized as a process optimization to minimize the solvent. Analytical testing, use validated methods like GC for monitoring. Quality by design principles can be used to control solvent parameters at early stages. Then regulatory limits. So ICH Q3C provides you the exposure limits for these solvents. Generally, class 3 solvents have a permissible daily intake of 50 mg per day or less. So 50 mg becomes 5000 ppm per day. But always try to limit the solvent in the formulation. Analytical methods like gas chromatography, headspace GC are used for testing. Validation should be done to ensure accuracy, precision, specificity, and linearity, and the robustness. Also, risk assessment should be there to identify potential residual solvents during formulation development, evaluate levels in API, excipient, and the final product, mitigate thorough process, and have the process controls. This is the information regarding ICH Q3C residual solvent impurities. I will make a separate video which will be in detail for the residual solvent calculation, residual solvent limits, and specifications. For this video, consider ICH Q3C as per the guideline for residual solvent as an introduction, and understand the effect of use of residual solvents on the formulation, on the testing. Always try to not use the residual solvents, and if at all these are required to be used for product development, then try to decrease the level of residual solvents. Sometimes these solvents are used in different stages, like you are doing the granulation with isopropyl alcohol, and then also you are doing film coating with IPA and MDC. So at different stages you need to have strict in-process controls. Thank you for watching the video, and let's meet soon with another video on the informative topic. Thank you.